Hello. What I'd like to do in this video is to discuss the quarter project and the first deliverable that's required in about a week and a half. Now, the quarter project, we're looking at an individual that's looking to expand their business. And they're considering making an investment with a contract. And they're going to have to purchase some property, make some investments in property. They have expected revenues and various other things that are all delineated in the first 2 pages of the prompt that I've put on Canvas. And what I want you to do is make a recommendation to this person as to whether or not they should expand the business. And part of that recommendation, the key part of this class is the engineering economic justification. And that's what's described right here in the deliverable. So there's going to be an Excel model that's going to be due. And as well as the Excel model, there's going to be a written report. Okay, so what the deliverables are going to be to keep you on task to be getting the Excel model finished in a timely manner so that you're going to be able to put together a well-written report without cramming at the last minute. And you notice that this report is due, I believe it's the Sunday before finals week. I didn't make it due the 10th week. You're welcome to turn it in early. But the idea is that you don't have to turn it in on the last day of the quarter, the last day of the 10th week, when many other projects are due. So I want to talk about some of the guidelines. There's a written report, and the written report is going to be, this is what's going to distinguish you when you get into industry, is your ability to write a good report. Everybody you're going to work with is going to be smart. They're going to be able to put together good models. Your ability to speak and to write are going to set you apart when you get into the industry. Now, what we're doing here is, and I want you to think about this as being in your own hands. We're going to work through these deliverables to get this engineering economics justification. And the way you present it in the report should be fairly easy because everybody should have the same answer with this 15% in the deliverables. So there's 40% of your grade is going to be pretty much set in stone by the 8th or 9th week of the quarter. And it's, I'm going to be giving you the answers, but I'm looking for you to be doing the work and having the economics, the mathematics behind it working. And so what you're going to be doing the week after Thanksgiving, you're going to be building an executive summary as part of your report. This is key. It's 20% of the grade. And when you're in industry, many times supervisors don't read the full report. They don't have time to. What sells them on a project is this executive summary, and it prompts their interest. And if they like the executive summary, they're going to want to be reading further through the report. Now, I'm highlighting this in bold, and I'm going to say it in the video. It should be 1 page long. If it's longer than 1 page, you're going to get a maximum of 10 out of 20 points on this. Executive summaries need to be 1 page long, not small type, not tiny spacing. You need to put all the key components into something that's concise and easy to follow with all of the information in it. Now, the assessment of uncertainties, and I'm going to put together a video on this later on. I think I'm going to have one actually posted soon. But this is going to help to separate you. Everybody can come up with a single one answer. But what you want to do is when you provide information to a supervisor, you want to let them know the risks behind that information. If a price is smaller than expected, what does it do to our rate of return or our present value? What is the likelihood? What is the upside of a project if things are better than expected? Things like that. And then finally, discussing the results and drawing a conclusion. That's a key part of the project as well. You just don't make a recommendation. It sounded like I said don't make a recommendation. You just don't stop after you've assessed your uncertainties and sensitivities. You have a final conclusion that makes a recommendation. That is key. Now let's go through some of these guidelines. I think this tells you how to build a spreadsheet. But on the first is about 10 or 12 days. You need to upload an Excel file that shows the revenue, expense, and investment spreadsheets, tabs in the document. I'm going to go through that in just a second. A week later, we have the depreciation worksheet. And finally, we're going to have on the 1st of December, we're going to have the after-tax cash flow worksheet. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, after you've done this second deliverable, the third deliverable is a piece of cake. And I'll show that as we go through here. But I think these are realistic, and I'm going to take you through exactly what's necessary. Once you've done this third deliverable, which could be done by the 21st of November, easily, you will have basically finished this piece and this piece of your project. And so on the 7th of December, I want you to upload a PDF of the report as well as the Excel file. And I'm going to go into your Excel file and make sure that it works the way that I think it should work. Now let me take you through the Excel file. So the Excel file at a minimum should have 5 tabs in it. We should have an input tab, a revenue tab, an expense tab, an investment tab, and an after-tax cash flow tab. Okay, and the idea behind this in an industry, many projects have input tabs for the revenue, input tabs for the expenses. But the idea is to enter data one time. So I want to compute our revenue. Revenue is based on the sales in tons and the revenue per ton. You can build in flexibility here. So I put the data in here, and then I compute my revenue in the revenue worksheet. So I can change my input data here. Let's say I want to try out tons of 38. I only need to put it in at this point, and it carries through to this worksheet. I only need to enter it in one spot. Now, I have my results here. This is a small project. I'm able to put my results on the same page. The idea here is if I want to change my revenue from 9,000 to 8,000, I can do it right here, and I can look at my before tax cash flow, internal rate of return, any one of these key result metrics, and see what it does to me. So that's the idea of having the results on the same page. Many worksheets have the results on a separate page. Now the expenses are, if you go through the video on depreciation, I'm differentiating between investments and expenses. And I have the startup, the overhead, and then I've got the investments. These are separated. So my expense worksheet looks like this. I've got my variable expense per ton, my initial variable expense. I make an adjustment because of my year 1 and year 10. I've got my decrease in expense, got my overhead, startup expense. This is what I'm after, the total expense worksheet. I've got my total revenue. I've got my total expense column. These are going to feed into my after-tax cash flow worksheet. And so ultimately, we're going to build an after-tax cash flow worksheet that's fed by the revenue worksheet, expense worksheet, and the investment and depreciation worksheet. Those are fed from the input worksheet. And then I have my investments. I've got the property, the greenhouses, salvage values, working capital. I encourage you to read carefully the section on working capital. This is what makes a business. It's the money a business needs to run their day-to-day operations. That's what working capital is. If you put it in, you get it all back, but it's not depreciable. I can discuss it more in my office hours if you care to find that at that time. So if we look at the deliverables that I have, whoops, not that one. I've got the revenue, expense, and investment worksheet. My second deliverable is the depreciation worksheet. The depreciation worksheet is done on the investments. So that's why I name my tab Investments Depreciation. And this is what the investment worksheet does. I just have the time and the date. So basically the amount and the date, the investment in property, greenhouse, equipment, working capital, and the salvage values associated with them. From this part of the worksheet, you will build the depreciation necessary. Now, you may not have gone through the depreciation method yet, but the idea is the same. We're getting a revenue vector from this worksheet. We're getting an expense vector from this worksheet, an investment vector from this worksheet, and later on, we're going to have a depreciation vector. Okay, so I'm just asking for the revenue, expense, and investments in an Excel worksheet. Where it's going to head is it's going to head into this after-tax cash flow worksheet, which gets us to building, this is the holy grail, after-tax cash flow. So I'm not going to hide my numbers. I'm going to post, after the due time, I'm going to post a PDF of my results. But the idea is I want everybody to have the same answer as me. Mine may or may not be perfect. I think it's probably right, but I've been shown to make mistakes in the past. I know it's directionally right. So, for example, this is the base case here. If this was the base case, I think it is, but I haven't double-checked my numbers completely. But if you were to get an after-tax present value of $500,000, and I'm getting $22,000, it's probably not a minor discrepancy in our input. There's probably a pretty big difference. And since I'm giving you all the answers, I'm not, in the final report, I'm expecting to see numbers that are correct. So again, what I'm looking for is the revenue worksheet, and that's due the 14th of November, the expense worksheet, and this first part of the investment depreciation worksheet.